Is his family in town? Jenkins?
Ray,
we couldn't find him.
You still have all your hair?
Yeah, we couldn't.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It's really good to see all you again and meet a few new people. I'm glad to see so many staff here today from Waubonsee too. We're here, as we all know, to dedicate the tombstone. We have the memorial marker to our classmate Signe Jenkins, who would have had his birthday, I think, about 3 days ago. He would have just turned 49. He passed away when he was 17, and I'm sure we all miss him. Good guy. He would have been a Facebook friend of ours, I'm sure. I had this idea because a few years after he passed away, I came here and I saw no stone. And I was surprised. I was very shocked because it was a nice funeral. He wasn't cremated, so as far as I knew. So I was just surprised there was no stone for him. And at the 10-year reunion in 1993, I talked about the idea, but it never went anywhere. And then 20-year reunion, we didn't do anything. But on the 30th anniversary of his passing in December of 2012, I mentioned something on Facebook, a dedication to him, and started a long comments discussion. And from there, we I talked about wanting to get a stone, and a couple people asked me to start a fundraiser, do something for it. So I got the idea and we started it. Now I have to say though, that it may have been my idea originally, but Coach Craig Clendenning was instrumental in getting this together. He's the one who got the stone, he picked out the stone. He had the account set up that we could donate money to. So I appreciate that immensely, and a lot of people don't know this, but there was one other time when Coach Clendenning also helped a family without well means to purchase a stone for their younger son who died. So I always thought that was very nice, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, Coach. A round of applause for Coach Clendenning. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Steve Riesenberg for the bagpipes. I think that's awesome, awesome touch. And in a little while, I want to give people a chance to come up and tell their memories of him too. My memories of Signe, I have some. I'd like to hear from people who have more. I think his junior year, I believe that's when he moved to Waubonsee. I'm not sure exactly, but I believe it's around then. He used to sit at lunch with me and the Payne brothers, Joe and Chris. It was just the four of us. We always used to sit at lunch. And junior year, senior year, I had a different lunch hour. He was a good guy, great artist. I had a collection of his drawings. He let me borrow his book and take it home, and I showed my brother. I remember him drawing a huge, muscular, masculine figure, like a warrior thing with a little had like one of those sea monkeys tapped on. It was it was funny. The last thing I ever said to him, now, this is not family friendly, so, remember, I was an adolescent here, but my bad sense of humor. But I think it was as we were walking out of there to begin our winter break, between 82, 83, I walked out and I saw him walking out separately, and again, not family friendly, so hope I don't offend anybody here. But I just sang out, "Grandma got ramrodded by a reindeer." And he looked at me and said, "Shut up, Ted," and laughed and walked off. That's my last memory of him, so sorry that's a little crude, but it's my last memory. I know, that's bad. But seriously, folks. So anyway, but I had good memories, and yeah, it was my brother who came in and told me the bad news. I couldn't believe it. I think we were all shocked. When he came back, I went to his funeral. I'm pretty sure most of you probably did too. He was, good guy. Good artist, good-hearted guy. We talked sometimes. We talk at lunch. I remember him telling me about his big crush on Linda Jelinek. That was he used to talk about that, But I hope that someday, as science advances, they find a full cure so that young males don't have this problem. I've heard of this happening after other basketball games too. And he's just a very, very good guy, Signe was, and I miss him. I remember Mr. Mattingly's words at the funeral: "Nobody dressed better than Signe. Nobody smelled better than Signe." We all remember that. So, anyway, I would now like to hand the mic over to Coach Clendenning to say a few words. And anybody who comes to speak, if you could come about this place here, so we'll be caught on camera fully. Thank you. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Ted. See if this thing works, or
It should be.
see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, that's fine.
If it doesn't work, everybody speak up when you talk to the microphone.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah. Mattingly sent a note. He could not be here. He got a shot. He's had some back problems and got an epidermal, so he's out of commission for a few days. But he really appreciated what everyone was doing for Signe. We had Signe in track only 1 year, and Ray actually worked with him the most. And between Dodgenay smiling and Signe smiling, I thought we were at a dental school. And so I accused Signe of actually sprinting, and smiling at the same time. What was great about him, he was always the same. You could joke with him, kid with him, tease with him, and he would tease you right back. He'd give it right back to you, just in a fun, playful way, and just go on about his business. So it's nice that everyone deserves a marker. So it was nice that Ted. It's easy. Sometimes you see something that needs to be done, and then it needs to be done, and that's the end of it. But Ted actually kept going with it. I mean, he researched the newspaper. He was trying to find out when Signe was born, tried to find the parents. He talked with the Naperville people. So it was Ted who said, we're going to get this done one way or another. So Ted is, the marker here is actually all of Ted's work actually over a couple years that he was working on it. So anyway, it's great to see everybody. Who else wants to?
I've thought about Signe a lot over the years, and unfortunately it's for sort of sad reasons. I mean, we lost another student at Neuqua Valley to a very similar situation in practice. And every time that the district runs Young Hearts for Life, with all the donors that give to Young Hearts for Life, and certainly I know some of us still want to make donations, and this is covered, but the donations to Young Hearts for Life through our foundation would be greatly appreciated. I think of him because I was a young teacher at the time. I know that's hard to believe. And I was young once. And, you know, I always think of those students because we lost those students to a very similar situation, but yet the foundation really stepped up and the community around us has stepped up. And now Central and North and Wabanzi and Matia and Nequa do screenings every other year to avoid another student dying as Signe did. And I think that, I'm sure that Signe, I always think when I go to those things, I always think that Signe is smiling down and saying, okay, you know, it was my time. And he definitely was a very faith-oriented kid. It was my time, but many have benefited. So that's what always sticks with me about Signe.
And can you say your name for the camera's sake? Everybody say their name and maiden name when you go up
And
there.
I am Kathy Burkess.
Thank you. For the sake of people who might see this outside of you. Thank you. For everybody. Anybody who wants to just say 2 words. Make sure you smile, right?
All right.
Hi, my name is Ray Dagenet, and I'm happy to see all of you here to honor Signe's memory. I just want to say a couple of words. Signe was a wonderful young man, and we had a chance to work with him in track. He was a very coachable person. He ran relays, and you ask him to do this, he would do it, and then he'd come back and say, "Did I do that right, coach?" And say, "Yes, Signe, you did that wonderfully. You did it beautifully." And I've worked with a lot of young men over the years at the high school level, and if I had students in my class and on my teams like Signe, I can just say I had a wonderful life. So thank you, Signe.
I'm not sure if that's working, but try anyway. Anybody want to? Anybody?
Where's Phil? There he is.
Yeah, for the sake of, because this might go to some people who outside the copy of this.
Well, this is a celebration. I'm Phil Gallo, and I'm telling you, this guy hits home because of art and basketball. Bob Manley had hired me to, I think, play basketball against his players and get beat up instead of coaching them, right, Riesenberg? And Signe was cut his junior year, and it was huge to him. He came back and worked hard and made it his senior year. And then, I don't know if you read the article today, but he was pretty good in the art department. And he had received a ticket to Disney. And he was going to fly during Christmas break after the game. And I know that he would have made it because he wanted a full ride there, and that was his goal. And I hope that he's thinking about that upstairs because I know he would have done it. So thanks.
I'm Steve Riesenberg, guy with the loudest outfit here today. Signe grew up in, or lived in the neighborhood with me in Longwood, along with Pat McDonough, who we also lost this summer. My memories of Signe are wonderful. He played basketball with Bill Perkins and I, and as I recall those days, I remember that Signe was the hardest worker. And specifically, he had physical prowess. His body was so strong that one day I saw him jogging with ankle weights on. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, who does that? Who can do that? Why? But that indicates where his real heart was, is he was a hard worker and he really wanted to succeed. And he really did have a bright smile. And he really did have a warm heart and a wonderful personality. And he is the kind of person that I would want to be friends with today. So I'm honored to be here to help honor his memory. And when a bagpiper plays at a funeral or a memorial service, traditionally at the very end, the piper plays Amazing Grace. And I'm going to do that today, but I'm going to switch tunes as I walk away, and generally the piper plays Amazing Grace or a slow air or lament and walks off into the distance. But today I'm going to switch tunes as I walk off, and the tune that I'm going to play to honor Signe is called At Long Last. It's written by James McCarron. And it's kind of a more upbeat, happy tune to remember a really happy guy. And it's also fitting for today that at long last, today Signe has a proper marker for his grave. And we have to thank for that Ted and Coach Clendenning. And boy, standing here as almost a 50-year-old, it's kind of bizarre to say, you know, Mr. Clendenning or Mr. Pennington or Mr. Flanders. It's got to be Coach, because it just doesn't ring for me. So thank you very much.
And since the speaker's not working, if you guys could speak up sometimes. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just going to do this off the mic because everybody says I talk too loud anyway. So I just can say that I vividly remember the night that Signe died. That's been etched in my mind for 30 years. And in my mind, I remember that we must have been way ahead in the basketball game, because I remember Signe got in and got to play. And he played his heart out that night. He was phenomenal. And I think that was God's way of knowing what was going to happen to him, and gave him the proper departure that he deserved. And I remember coming home on the bus and everybody talking about what we were going to do the next day, and we'll go see him and all that kind of stuff. And then the shock when we got the call that he had died. And I remember I was sick for 2 days. And back then, when you're 17, 18 years old, I didn't know why. I just thought I was sick. And as you get older in life, you realize that was your way of dealing with the trauma and the stress. And I don't know, I think to some extent the things that happened that night may have led me to the career and the life that I have in public service and public safety. And Signe was a great guy. And I know my life is much better for having the honor of knowing him and playing basketball with him and being a schoolmate with him. So, Ted, I think this is a great thing you did, and I know Signe would greatly appreciate it. So, thank you.
That was Bill Perkins.
Oh, sorry, I didn't say my maiden name.
Anyone else? Anyone like to say any words at all? Okay.
I've got one last
Sure.
thing, Ted.
Okay. This thing's dead. So.
Yeah, forget that. I was out in Vegas. Wasn't my choice, my wife, you know. So anyway, got to see a former runner out there, Gary Bach, which was kind of neat. And I done a Facebook page, and Kurt Pilgrim sends me a note and says, "Hey, Coach, you in Vegas?" Because they happened to be on the same team, but they didn't realize they were in the same town. So I said, "Yeah." So I went over to Kurt's school and saw him, and it was great because he was in an area that I happened to be in of cables, and he was actually an AV type, computer type guy. So Kurt, I think he's Curtis now. You know, you get a little older, so he gives me this box, and he says, "Open up the box and take a look at it." He says, "Look at the bottom," and he says, "What do you see?" And it's an SJ. And he goes, "You know," he says, "I want Ted to have Signe's ceramic piece."
Wow.
Kurt had helped Coach Gallo clean up and wound up with Signe's ceramic piece. He said, "For Ted doing this, you want him to have it."
Thank you. I am very, very honored. I love Signe's artwork. It was, wow. I don't even know what to say. It's like a trophy. Thank you. Would anybody else like to say a few words? Bill, I know you just got here.
other than
If you want, could you come up here because we're videotaping and speak loud because the mic's not working.
That's your name. Thank you. Thank you.
hello, I'm William Rawlings. I enjoyed some artwork from Sydney too. He did a couple drawings for me. But moreover, today, from the work of Mr. Clendenning and Ted and whatnot, this is something beautiful that happened, and Sydney now brings us all together. I mean, look at the people next to you. When's the next time you're going to see them? So enjoy this day. Enjoy this day. God bless. God bless you all.
Okay, any last person want to say anything at all? I know not everybody has to, so if not, let me get a quick pan of everybody. Thank you. I'd like to get a. I want to thank everybody who came here today. Everybody, former staff, former alumni. I really appreciate it. It was great seeing every one of you. And you know, like it was said before, and it'll be said again. Signe would be smiling on us right now. You know, we loved him, and I love all you guys for coming here. And I also want to do a shout out to people who might see this video who couldn't make it today. I know some people live far away who would love to be here in spirit. So I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Barbie Barnett just put the flower in. I'm very, very honored to get this piece of ceramic art from Signe. It's feels like a trophy almost, you know.